Barca preparing for what they know is a critical moment in the season. It's a moment that could change the season, that is for sure. It's been a largely impressive campaign for Hansi Flick's men so far. Certainly slipped up a little bit in December, but they know that victory in Sunday's final against Real Madrid can really set them on a good course for the remainder of the season. You see the players here having a light chat ahead of this one before we get going into the full exercises. We'll bring you all of the build-up for what should be a fascinating and thrilling final on Sunday night. There is Hansi Flick with his coaching staff, focused, concentrated for this one. He said before the game that we want to bring joy and a trophy to the fans. We feel as though winning could really give us a boost for the rest of the season. Pedri was the other player to speak before the game in the preview. There he is, Pedri, warming up now. He said he feels really good in the team this season. It's the best maybe it's the best he's felt since he's been in the club. He's had continuity without injuries, and of course highlighted the fact that it would be a very special feat to win another trophy with Barcelona, and to do it of course in a final against Real Madrid is always special. Hansi Flick himself didn't give anything away lineup-wise. He said it's not in his style. There he is with Arnau Blanco and Toni Fernandez having a joke before the game. The Barca have started to get players back to full strength. Of course, they're boosted by the availability of Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, who you can see on the pitch. They'll be intriguing to see if they do feature tomorrow. Dani Olmo, you'd imagine, will be knocking on the door for a starting spot. Deep conversation here between Hansi Flick and Toni Fernandez. One of the bets that Flick made for this Supercup here in Saudi Arabia was bringing Toni Fernandez. And of course, Hansi Flick knows that victory tomorrow against Real Madrid would be the first trophy for him as coach of FC Barcelona. It would be the first of his era. It would also be the first trophy for the likes of Wojciech Szczesny, Pau Cubarsí, Íñigo Martínez, Fermín López, Marc Casado, Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. So plenty of Barca stars with an extra motivation ahead of tomorrow's clash. A clash that will be fascinating not only because it's a Clásico, but also because it's the third consecutive Clásico final in this format in Saudi Arabia. Out of the previous two, there's one Barcelona win and one Real Madrid win. Can't forget that they also played against each other in the semi-final in 2022. If you remember that game 3 years ago now, seems bizarre to say. That one went to extra time. Real Madrid won it 3-2. Of course, 2 years ago, Barcelona won the first title. They've won the only title they've won in this format of the Super Cup, beating Real Madrid 3-1. Was a lightning quick, brilliant display on the day. Of course, last year Real Madrid won 4-1. That was emphatic from Los Blancos. Barcelona will be out for revenge in that sense this time around, as Hansi Flick gives some words to the players here, words of encouragement, no doubt, ahead of this final training session. Hands over also to Arnau Blanco to say a few words to the team. And very quickly, Barca will get into action. Well, you can see two of the goalkeepers there, Szczesny and Iñaki Peña. That will certainly be a fascinating element of tomorrow's clash. Who starts in goal for Barcelona? Szczesny started the semi-final. Iñaki Peña has really been the regular in the league. He was superb in the 4-0 win at the Clásico at the Bernabeu in October, was Iñaki Peña. So it will be very intriguing to see who Hansi Flick goes for. As mentioned in his press conference that he held this morning, he didn't give anything away to the German coach. He will know that Barca all-time, but he was informed anyway at the press conference that Barca all-time, of course, are the side in Spain who've won the most Super Cups. They've won 14. Real Madrid are second with 13, so Los Blancos know a victory for them tomorrow would level things up. For Barcelona, they can get their 15th Super Cup title if they are to be victorious tomorrow night. It's actually intriguingly the 10th Supercup final between these two sides, and maybe surprisingly, Barcelona have only won 2 of those in the previous 9 encounters. Real Madrid have won 7. Of course, Barcelona won in 2023 at the start of the year, that 3-1 victory, emphatic, brilliant really. And back in 2011 too, dramatic 2-legged affair, back when the Super Cups were disputed over 2 legs, and at the start of the season in August. Well, you can see some of the players there, Rafinha, Eric Garcia. Rafinha, of course, who's been so impressive for Barca so far this season, showing off some tricks there with the centre-back, make midfielder this season, Eric Garcia. No doubt Rafinha will play a huge role tomorrow. Likely you'd expect to wear the armband, although Ronald Araujo, Frenkie de Jong, of course, both available for the clash. Araujo back from injury, played against Barbastro, didn't feature against Athletic Club in the semi-final, which of course Barca won by 2-0. Goals coming from Gavi, his first since returning from injury. Hadn't scored since 2023 against Antwerp in the Champions League. And then Lamine Yamal, his first game since coming back from injury, brilliantly finished off a pass from Gavi. There is Iñaki Peña. Could be one of the biggest games in his career. He did play in both the semi-final and the final here in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah last year. Won the semi-final against Osasuna and then was on the end of that heavy defeat to Real Madrid in the final. 4-1 it was on the night. And as mentioned, that will be certainly one of the big talking points, certainly, for tomorrow's game. Who starts in between the sticks for Barca? So Iñaki Peña gets some early warm-ups underway. Becomes intriguing, this clash, doesn't it, too, because of course of the league positions of the two sides. You look back at that Clásico in October and Barcelona were flying. Beat Real Madrid 4-0. At one point they were 9 points clear. Could have gone 12 with a victory against Real Sociedad, but certainly have been a few defeats that maybe have been more understandable than others. Most recent defeat in the league against Atletico Madrid was certainly a sucker punch for Barca at Montjuic. You'd have to say one of those unfair results in football, really. Unfortunate in every regard for Barca. They do have points to make up at the top of the table now. They're 5 behind Real Madrid in La Liga, which seemed almost impossible 2 months ago, especially after Barca beat Real in the Clásico by such a heavy margin. Hansi Flick did speak about that Clásico in the build-up to this one. He said, "We try to repeat that performance in every game we play. That is how we want to play." And no doubt Real Madrid will have that game strong in the front of their minds. It could have been a different game. Mbappe's goal was ruled out early, of course, in that one, but Barca were so strong in the second half. Feels like they could have scored every time they came forward. And there is Hansi Flick taking an eager eye over proceedings here. Good news for Barca, as I say, is that squad that has been slightly damaged by injuries this season is now getting back to its full strength. Great to see Gavi, of course, back on the score sheet the other night too. Well, Lamine Yamal, of course, was also injured recently in December, missed quite a few games. Barca didn't win any of the games. He wasn't there in the league, so they know his importance. And there he is, having a joke with the likes of Balle and Ansu Fati, as always. Been lots of talk in the Real Madrid camp of revenge for this one. They'll feel hurt, no doubt, by the result in the league in October. They'll feel as if this is a great chance for them to bounce back and put a thorn in Barcelona's season, especially being 5 points above them in the league. Barca will know that, whilst it's hard to focus on anything other than this clash, afterwards they have a cup game against Real Betis at Montjuic, and then it's back to league action away to Getafe. And really, in La Liga, Flick's team have points to make up big time, which you wouldn't have thought would have been the case too long ago, but it is indeed now. While to your far left there, you can see Andreas Christensen, not played since match day 1 in La Liga when he came off the bench against Valencia. Still not started a game for Barca this season, so let's see if he can be an important piece in Flick's system for the second half of the season. Tomorrow's game you'd expect would come too soon for him in that regard to feature any minutes. Well, Barca did have a day off yesterday. Hansi Flick spoke about that. He said that he wanted the team to rest. Of course, back to the training ground today with the final in their sights. And certainly, of course, for Real Madrid, Barca know plenty of players to be wary of when looking at their rivals. Jude Bellingham in particular has picked up. He scored the opener in the semi-final against Mallorca for Real Madrid on Thursday night. Scored 9 goals in his last 9 games, and that came after not scoring any in the first 3 months of the season. So Bellingham seems to have found the back of the net. And of course, when you've got the likes of Vinicius and Mbappe, Rodrigo ahead of him, it will be a really intriguing game tomorrow. It's one of those blockbuster clashes that no one wants to miss. As mentioned, kickoff 8 p.m. Spanish time, that's 10 p.m. local time in Saudi Arabia. You can see Robert Lewandowski making his way to the front of the queue. Scored 2 goals in the Clásico in October, the end of October for Barca. It's been rampant so far this season as the poll. And did intriguingly score Barca's only goal in that final last season against Real Madrid, the 4-1 defeat. He made it 2-1 at that point where it maybe felt as if Barca could get back into things, and, well, very quickly that wasn't the case. As Barca changed drills here, activation is over. There is Pau Victor, registered and available to play this game. And there is the youngster Lamine Yamal. Technically does have a La Liga title under his belt. He was only 15 when he came on against Real Betis for his first minutes in the league, and that was, of course, during the season that Barca won the league, but it would feel as if this is his first official title with Football Club Barcelona. Of course, certainly participating in any way. Behind him, Íñigo Martínez, also looking for his first title for Barca. Spoke recently in an interview for Barca 1, incidentally, Íñigo Martínez, about how much he enjoys playing with Pau Cubarsí at the back, how they formed a good partnership, and it's fair to say they really have. Also spoke about the infamous high line that's certainly become a talking point this season for Barca. Well, there is Pedri, another one of those who spoke before the game, did just speak now in the press conference about how happy and content he is at Barca this season, how he enjoys the style of play. Also mentioned how special it was to score at this venue in Saudi Arabia against Real Madrid 2 years ago in that final. It was a final Barca steamrolled Real Madrid in. You do feel as if tomorrow's game could have significance as to the way the rest of the league season shifts. Could just give a mental boost for both sides over their rivals. You look at last season and that 4-1 win for Real Madrid, maybe it was a little bit of a nail in the coffin for Barca in their season. Certainly 2 years ago, that 3-1 win for Barca, that did change their season. Real Madrid couldn't cope with them from that point onwards, and that game was a good signifier of the golfing class between the two sides. Wow, how good is it to see Gavi putting his head where it hurts again, getting himself stuck in. They're making gestures, as mentioned, back on the pitch, and with an assist for Eric Garcia, that man, against Barbastro in the Copa del Rey recently away from home. Didn't feature against Athletic Club. Let's see if he gets any minutes in the final tomorrow. It was interesting to hear that Hansi Flick said, we must and we want to play better than we did against Athletic Club. Whilst it was a very impressive result for Barcelona, maybe not one of their most dominant displays of the campaign so far, and good to see Flick holding the level so high in the standards at this club. Fermín López did come on. and has scored against Real Madrid, incidentally. Of course, he exploded onto the scene against Real Madrid in pre-season and did score in a 3-2 defeat at the Bernabeu last season too. So another goal against Real Madrid tomorrow would certainly go down well. Teddy Garcia loses the ball there and goes inside the rondo. Certainly energy and intensity in the rondo for Barcelona here. They'll need to be very sharp tomorrow. They'll need to get things right. Pedri did speak about that, having to be vigilant on defending Real Madrid's counter-attacks. Spoke about how that will be a key for this game. Plenty of laughs and enthusiasm. As we move over to another group. There is Marc Casador, who expected his explosion onto the scene for Barcelona this season. And what about Pau Cubarsí, the man we just spoke about a few minutes ago? How good has he been at centre-back, the 17-year-old? Maybe not spoken about as much because of his position, but consistently performs for Barcelona. And he'll have a key role to play in tomorrow's clash. Certainly up against the likes of Mbappe and Vinicius, who are so quick in behind. Recently said that it would be special to win his first title with Barca. I mean, how special would it be to do just that against Real Madrid? Hector Fort, one of several Barca youngsters. Gerard Martin there too, Sergio Dominguez. Nutmegging him too. Not sure how Victor was too impressed by it. And an end is put to that rondo, probably to some of those players' delight. Well, we are expecting plenty of Barca and Real Madrid fans in the King Abdullah tomorrow. Usually are decent turnouts for the finals in Saudi Arabia, where there are a fair amount of supporters, of course, of both sides. I was actually asked to Pedri in the press conference whether he noticed how many Real Madrid fans there were here. He said, well, there are plenty of Barca fans too, so we are expecting an intriguing atmosphere tomorrow. We'll wrap up here, though, as this is Barca's final training session before the clash against Real Madrid in the Spanish Supercup. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a chance for the first trophy of the Hansi Flick era. Thank you for tuning in to Barca 1 and enjoy the game tomorrow.